Share about this latest injury with Giannis.
Another day, another disagreement between the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right now, it's about his playing status and his future. The Bucks want Giannis to shut down the remainder of the season. They do not want him to return. He had a hyperextended knee on Sunday. It's his fifth injury this season. Giannis, though, totally refutes that. He wants to play. He's refusing that. He's upset that they've even asked him to shut down. He wants to play at some point in return when he's healthy to play. Now, the Bucks, they are pretty much almost done with playoff or play-in tournament contention. So for them, for Giannis, it's best for him to sit for now and for their future. He wants to play. So they disagreed about his trade. Giannis felt like it was time for them to move on. The Bucks disagreed. They kept him. Now they feel like he needs to shut it down. He disagrees with them now.
Interesting. We were talking about this with A.J. Brown of the Eagles earlier in the show. Is it time for everyone to move on from each other? It's the same conversation with the Bucks and Giannis. I mean, is it just time we just go our separate ways?
It's time. Sometimes you got to save a player for himself. Admirable that he's professional and competitive, wants to step up and play every night. But you gain nothing. They've been bad without him. They haven't been great with him. They're 2-4 since his return, so you haven't won. You're 6 games out of the play-in. This is not good, and you gain nothing from it. So rest your body, get healthy for next season. Hopefully you can come back to MVP caliber, which he will be, and be in a contention or be in a place where you can actually win games or contend. I don't think it's going to be in Milwaukee unless they pull off some miraculous trade that happens this summer. I don't see it happen. It's time to move on.
Danny, as a player, what have the Bucks gained this season overall to you?
Maybe a good draft pick, possibly.
Look, at the end of the day, he got them a title, and they just didn't do enough to surround him to go on a run, and I think that's where the friction started. We'll see how this ends in the offseason. Gentlemen, so much more with you coming up later.
And what does it mean for the future with these two parties?
I didn't learn anything as far as new because this is just another battle of dissension, disagreement between these two sides because since the offseason, Giannis has essentially informed the Bucks, I feel the time is now for us to move on. The Bucks obviously have felt differently. They wanted to give it another go. They obviously tried again to compete and win this year, and it obviously has not worked out that way. Now they're at a point in the calendar where Giannis has had 5 separate injuries this year, and they have asked him to shut down. They want him to shut down. They feel it's best for him. It's best for the team, obviously, to prioritize his health, a higher draft pick. They're already losing with him, so why jeopardize his future? But Giannis wants to play basketball, and that's kind of the risk-reward. When they decided to keep him at the deadline, they knew he did not want to shut down. He wanted to play, and now that point in the season has come where it probably, for the team makes more sense if he shuts down. But he has told them he's refused. He said, I don't care what you guys feel. I want to play again this season, and he's aiming to be back, whether it's in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and play the rest of the season. But for me, this is just another tale. This is just another moment where these two sides just have not been on the same page. And it's obviously going to leave a lot of questions going into the offseason.
Would you describe this as contentious, or could it get contentious? Because it seems like both sides are pretty dug in on their position here.
Michelle, there's a lot of words I think you can use for this situation. I think you can use, there's a T word I think you can use in this.
Tense?
Tense is one. Keep going, Michelle.
Tense.
Keep going.
Tense.
T word.
Keep going.
Toxic?
I think in a way. I think in a way it's been, there's been sometimes mixed messages maybe behind the scenes. There's been, there's moments like, okay, we're gonna, the team telling the player, we could win a championship now. Like Giannis was sold coming into the year on championship contention. That's what John Horst, the Bucks general manager, the coach Doc Rivers, told Giannis, told ownership. And so when you set those expectations going into the year, and they're now they've been in 11th place most of the season, and so they have a lot of questions long term that they have to figure out. But obviously the Giannis one looms large, and I think over the course of last summer and now they just have not. This is a partnership over the course of 12 years that's been pretty solid. They've been on the same page. No one knows Giannis without talking about the Bucks. No one talks about the Bucks without talking about Giannis. They're one and the same. And so to see them now at the point where they just have not been able to get on the same page about winning, about the future, about him, it's going to lead to a lot of questions.
So what you said there about them selling Giannis on championship contention is so wild to me because anybody look at this roster knew this roster was not competing for a championship. So pardon me if I don't feel bad for Giannis for being sold a used car when the muffler was hanging off of it. But in terms of the end of this thing, where do you see it going? Like, how do you see this ending? And could this possibly be something where it can be as toxic as it is, like a peaceful transition where Giannis goes to another squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to know exactly how this goes because technically he is contract extension eligible on October 1st, 4 years, $275 million. But I think the moment the season ends, there's going to be more hard conversations between these two sides, and you know the Bucks internally have a lot to figure out with their own stuff, and internally they're going to have to figure that out, and then it's going to lead to more conversations with their star player. But they have open conversations on trades last summer. They talked to the Knicks for a period of a couple weeks. This season, they talked to Minnesota, Miami, Golden State, multiple other teams. They sifted through multiple offers. They made counter offers. Offers were made. So it's not like it would be new news if they suddenly this offseason in June and July, as we get close to the draft, open it up again. I think it would behoove them not to see what else is out there. That's part of the reason why you wait into the offseason. You see, can you get any better in a trade? And so, I think everyone around the NBA is expecting that there's going to be more conversations here. This is not the end of the Giannis trade situation by any means.
Shams, what's interesting about all of this is, I want to be clear. When you were reporting this around the deadline, at no point did you say he was going to be traded. That never happened, right? I never personally felt like he was going to be traded around the deadline. And so now I look at this situation and I say, why don't they just let him play if he wants to play? Because they don't technically control their own pick. They get the worst pick between theirs and the Pelicans. So there's all these other things. I've now gotten to the point that I wonder, for me, not your reporting, for me, I wonder if this is the first time they actually may consider actually moving him for real, because of the fact him getting, God forbid, hurt helps them. Because they give him the 4 years, $275. He's going to have to say yes if he's, God forbid, hurt in these next few weeks. I'm not even projecting that. But them keeping him healthy means they can extract the most value out of everyone. Like, some of the logic by Giannis and the Bucks together doesn't align here for me. How do you look at this situation?
No, I mean, I think a lot of this has been just you like, what is the goal here? Like, What is everyone trying to accomplish? And I've had
Warriors Nation News. Dub Nation, let me ask you something wild right out of the gate. What if the next superstar dream that everybody laughed at for Golden State is not dead at all, just delayed? Because the Giannis noise is getting louder again, and this time it is not just random fan fiction. ESPN reported that Giannis has been ready to move on, that Milwaukee listened to trade talks, and that the Warriors were one of the teams involved in those conversations during the season. ESPN also reported this situation is not over by any means heading into the offseason. Yeah, that is where this gets very, very real for Dub Nation. Now let's keep this honest, because that is what real fans do. Giannis to the Warriors is not a done deal. It is not confirmed. It is not breaking he's coming tomorrow. Nah. But it is absolutely fair to say Golden State has been in the mix, and that matters. When a player of Giannis's level is even remotely available, every serious franchise has to ask the question, and Golden State is still a serious franchise. This is still the team with Stephen Curry, still the organization with Steve Kerr, still a place stars pay attention to, and still a team that has shown it will make bold moves. Just look at the official game notes from the NBA. The Warriors already swung big on February 5th by acquiring Kristaps Porzingis in a major deadline move. That tells you this front office is not sitting around scared. They are still hunting for ways to raise the ceiling. And that is why the Giannis conversation hits different for Warriors fans. This is not just, wouldn't that be cool? This is, could the Warriors actually build one more terrifying version of this dynasty before the window finally closes? Because think about the basketball fit for a second. Giannis attacking downhill with Steph Curry warping the floor from 30 feet. Come on, man. That is nightmare fuel for the rest of the league. Defenses would have to pick their poison every single trip. Shade too hard toward Steph? Giannis is living at the rim. Collapse on Giannis, Curry is dancing into daylight. That is not normal basketball. That is panic basketball for the other team. Now, to be fair, there is another side to this. ESPN also reported Giannis said earlier this year he would never publicly demand a trade because that is not in his nature. So this is not a clean, simple superstar divorce where the player goes scorched earth on the franchise. Giannis still has loyalty in him. That is part of why this story is so dramatic. He and Milwaukee are tied together in NBA history. But loyalty and long-term fit are not always the same thing. If the Bucks cannot honestly sell championship contention anymore, and if Giannis still wants to chase another title at the highest level, then everybody around the league is going to start connecting dots again. And yes, one of those dots wears blue and gold.
The Warriors side of this is fascinating too, because Golden State is not some empty shell begging for relevance. The roster still has Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler III, and now Porzingis, while the team has also been trying to survive a rough stretch with Curry missing time because of patellofemoral pain syndrome and bone bruising in his right knee, according to the Warriors' official injury update on March 11th. That matters, because even with the injuries and inconsistency, the Warriors are still operating like a team that believes it can matter. They are not rebuilding in the traditional sense. They're still trying to stay dangerous. Yeah, and dangerous teams are exactly the kind of teams that jump back into superstar talks when the door cracks open. So here is my real fan take on it. If Giannis truly leaves the Bucks, the Warriors should absolutely be in that room. No hesitation, no fake humility, no maybe next year. Get in the room, make the call, test the waters, because franchises do not get many shots at pairing an all-time force like Giannis with an all-time shooter like Steph. Even if the path is difficult, even if the package would be brutal, even if the competition is fierce, you at least have to be part of the conversation. That is what serious organizations do. And the beautiful part for Dub Nation is this: Golden State has already been mentioned in those talks before, so this is not fantasy pulled out of thin air. It is a real rumor lane, even if the final outcome is still unknown. My conclusion? Favorable to the Warriors all day. Not because Giannis to Golden State is guaranteed, but because the very fact the Warriors are still being mentioned around these kinds of superstar conversations tells you this franchise is not done thinking big, not done swinging big, not done dreaming big. And that is exactly where you want your team to be. So now I want to hear from you, Dub Nation. If Giannis really is on the way out of Milwaukee, should the Warriors push all in to try to get him, or should they build around Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and Porzingis as they are? Drop your take in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in to Warriors Nation News, because if this rumor catches fire again, yeah, we're going to be all over it.